Hey everybody, welcome to the channel and thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to take a closer look at what's in my bag, or in my case, what's in my cart. Stay tuned. Alright, so what we're working with here is the Trekker cart from Zuca. It has a lot of great features and it's the perfect size for somebody who plays as often as I do, so let's get into some of the features. First things here is an add-on I put on this glow-in-the-dark handle grip. Lit discs you can find on Etsy. Great small company, great customer service, and a great product. My favorite feature is this carabiner loop, which really helps keep things clean looking up top. And I like to hang a Trash Panda Flight Towel Mini from up there. Got a standard water bottle holder, nothing fancy there. I like to keep an old chalk bag from when I was a climber, only instead of chalk I prefer to use very fine sawdust. I find that I get much more consistent results that way and it's a lot less messy. Coming around to the front, or more specifically the sides, you have a zippered pocket and a pouch that's perfect for a mini or something like that on the outside. I like to keep, just hacky sack for backups, bag tag from Lamona Disc Golf Club in Sefna, Florida, extra towels, whatever. Obviously you can carry whatever you want in there. On one side I like to keep a full-size flight towel. This one in particular is from Johnny McRae. Shout out to him. Hope you're doing well, bud. If you're unfamiliar with these things, just go get you one. They're phenomenal. You can use them for warm-up on the course. You can practice around the house without worrying about breaking anything or injuring yourself. That's a great product right there. Just a backup mini here in case anybody loses one, plus the other one's glow in the dark for blow rounds. Moving around, I had to have a seat. If I was going to spend the money on a cart, no sense in getting one without a seat. Right underneath the seat is a putter pouch, and under that is ample storage for whatever kind of stuff you want to carry. For me, there's usually some backup towels in there, maybe socks, maybe a full change of clothes, umbrella, whatever the day calls for. One thing that I like to keep on my cart at all times that other people necessarily don't is a dry box. If I get caught out in a sudden storm or the rain gets a little worse than predicted, I know that my valuables, my phone, my wallet, my keys, everything are going to stay safe and dry. This floats if there were to be a real big accident, I guess. And they're only like 15 bucks at Walmart. This in particular is a Pelican 1060. If you're in the market for one, great product. From there, we move down into disc storage. And the disc storage is one of the main features that drew my attention to this cart. I was looking at the Transit cart, but with all the disc storage up top, it's very top heavy. This keeps the center of gravity much lower, and it makes it very easy to push around on all different types of terrain, and I don't have to worry about it tipping over as much, going over roots and rocks and things like that. And from there, we get into the discs. So let's go ahead and get into them. All right, so taking a closer look at my discs, we start up here with my putting putter, which is a Brody Rubber Blend Swirl Roach. Big fan of the Dark Horse, and the Roach is the best feeling putter to me. Beadless, nice and rounded edge, and I feel like I get a nice clean release, great grip on this rubber blend. Very confidence-inspiring putter. Moving on to the throwing putters. I also bag Roaches for that purpose. A Jawbreaker is going to be my Circle 2 small approaches, and I do throw both putters off the tee. The Jawbreaker one is going to be more flippy. It's going to hyzer flip to slow turn. If I put a lot of hyzer on it, I can get it to hold a pushing hyzer, but for the most part, this is going to flip. And then the other one is an Ezra Aderhold Crystal Z Glow Roach from OTB a couple of years back. And this one is just a tick more stable than this. It's going to hold its pushing hyzer a little bit better. Stock hyzer release, it's going to stand up and want to finish more straight as opposed to carrying to the right. Flat release, it'll carry to the right. Great for up shots, both forehand and backhand. What a wonderful disc this is. It's changed my game drastically. I also bag two zones. Bag an ESP and a Crystal Flex. The Crystal Flex, being black and a more overstable plastic, definitely has that zone bite to it. The ESP, if you're unfamiliar with ESP zones, they just have a tendency to be straighter for longer, still have that super reliable fade to them, but it's not as hard of a dump get out of the sky as the Crystal Flex is. This is a much more usable disc at my arm speed. This is a lot more utilitarian. This disc in particular is perfect for floating ante-up shots, either around something or if I want to give a soft bid and stay away from OB. These are great discs for that. I'm sure everybody knows their zones. Moving right along to Flippy 5 speeds, I throw the Paradox. This, once again, for my arm speed, I do bag 2 because this one's about 11 grams lighter than this one. So on my stock hyzer release, this will flip quickly to flat and then slowly pan over to the right. Whereas on the same release with about the same power, this will flip up, might turn over a little bit, but it's going to finish a lot more straight. And it's nice to have both in the bag. On from there to my more straight neutral flying 5 speeds, I have 3 different Meteors. More for the plastic feel than the stability difference, but there is a slight difference across them in flight. Jawbreaker is going to be the most flippy, so thrown flat, it's going to finish to the right. Thrown on hyzer, it's going to want to stand up and finish straight. Whereas the ESP is very similar flight, but I do get a little bit more skip out of it, a little more predictable skip, and I have a crystal metallic run, shout out Sun King discs for this run. I believe this is the only run that you can get this disc in this plastic, and they are still available, so go check them out. And this just has a tick more, like a half tick more stability than these ones, and will hold a pushing hyzer a little bit better. It'll handle 5 or 10 miles an hour wind a little bit better, and this has become a staple in my bag. Reason that I have 3 is because 90% of my shots are going to be Meteor off the tee. Jumping up in stability from there, I go to the Verdict. These are Chris Clemens 2021 or 2022 Team Series, the Chameleon plastic. Very overstable run of Verdict in a very durable plastic that's going to hold its flight for me. This is not a disc that I want to beat into hyzer flip. This is a disc that I want to know is going to stay on the line, that I put it on until it runs out of speed and dumps. I use it very similar shots that I use my zones for, only this has a little bit more skip. It's a little bit faster, so I can get it farther around a corner. I can get farther down a fairway, nice tight little flex lines with it. This is a wonderful disc also. From there, we're going to move into fairway drivers, and to start us off, I have a nice little 6-claw Athena here, and this is exactly as a T-Bird-esque Athena disc should be, straight to pushing fade. It can handle most winds that I deal with on a regular basis. Once it gets up to, I'd say maybe 20-ish miles an hour or so, it will have a tendency to catch that wind and hold the line. If you're not careful enough with it, your nose angle's a little off or whatever. Point being, very reliable, very point and shoot, very straight, reliable fade. Great disc also. Jumping up in speed from there, but probably my most neutral flying disc, definitely in the fairway category, is the Axiom Virus. 9.5 negative 3.5-1, which is nowhere near accurate at my arm speed. This thing's just a laser beam, very neutral. A little bit of ante, it's going to want to fight out just a touch to flat at the end. If I really snap this, I'll get a little tiny bit of a flex line, but this is a very straight finish, very minimal skip, very controllable. One of my farthest flying discs. On most days, it is my farthest flying disc. From there, we step up in stability and a little bit more shape to the shot. I bag 2 Axiom Insanities. This one is an old run from back when they were still patent pending. And to me, this old run has more low speed stability. This one's beaten in and lightweight, so it has a lot more turn to it at my arm speed. Hyzer flip, flat to turn, but it does have that reliable finish to it, and it has a pretty good skip if I want it to. Whereas this one has the same type of flight, just less graduated. It's not going to turn as much and it's not going to dump as much. It's going to finish a little bit straighter. And these are great for both forehands and backhands. It's one of my favorite discs. The very first fairway driver I ever bought myself was an Insanity. So that's a staple in my bag too. And I've gone through quite a few different discs in this slot, being the control driver, overstable control driver slot. And I've recently landed on the Nordic Phenom, and I absolutely love this disc. It fits in my hand perfectly for both forehand and backhand. I love the feel of this special blend swirly S-line, and it's got the perfect amount of stability for me. It's not just dumping right away like a tilt, but if I throw this straight on a tight little anti-flex, it's gonna do exactly what I want it to. And more often than not, particularly if I want it to, it's gonna get a nice good skip or a good spike hyzer or something like that. It's a very useful disc. Up to my high-speed drivers, I'd say my go-to for high-speed drivers is the Prototype 80s. This purple one is a tick more stable than this teal one, and these are perfect hyzer flip discs. They're excellent, they're bomber discs. Even at my arm speed, I can get this to stand up off backhand, pushing hyzers with a big skip finish. Same thing with forehand. This one does handle wind surprisingly well for such a flippy disc. But yeah, this, once again, another great disc that I love a lot. Step up in stability from that is more useful in more scenarios, I'd say, is the Interval Molded Discmania DDX. For those of you unfamiliar, this is a 12.6 -1.2, so it's basically a slightly less stable Destroyer or DD3. For a 12 speed, I have very short fingers. For a 12 speed, it fits very comfortably in my hand, both forehand and backhand. The S-line being just a little bit more flippy than the C-line Glow. This one, at my arm speed with no wind, I don't get any flip out of it. This is straight to fade, and it fights enough wind for me to deal with on a regular basis. And then from there, we jump up in stability again to fight any winds, or to do a predictable spike hyzer that's never gonna flip up or anything. It's not gonna push too far by mistake, skip around a corner, something like that. Your typical overstable utility disc is what I use the Big Z Force for. And that is all my discs. And I appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoyed the video.